Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of the Disgruntled Geeks podcast. And Ben, this is a big deal. I've been at episode 5. That's like halfway to the first milestone.
Yeah, it is.
Like episode 10. I don't know about like how it is nowadays, but when we first started podcasting with a different show about 10 years ago, most shows didn't make it to episode 10.
No,
Uh,
not really. They usually just gave up.
yeah, so we're like halfway to that being in the minority of podcasts. So I'm really excited about that. Which we're really happy to have you guys with us this week. We are the most honest, critical, and sometimes cynical podcast you will ever hear. And always, every week, I've got Ben with me.
Yep, suffering from deja vu, but yeah, here I am.
For those that are listening on the podcast version, we are having to redo the introduction because I'm an absolute fool who forgets to unmute my mic.
But in different ways.
Yeah, it's a different way than last week. So,
That's why I went through.
and this week we do have another special guest with us. It is a filmmaker. He's a filmmaker from here in Mississippi, where we're from. And he is just a real good friend of mine. I met him through doing Tupelo Con, and we've just become really good friends over the last year. And I hope I do not butcher your name. That gentleman is Chris Kopsky.
There you go. You got it perfect.
Man, you've got such a filmmaker's name. No wonder you're a filmmaker with that name. That's just made to be put a film directed by Chris Kofsky.
Yeah, it really is like such a great name.
Yeah,
But share with the
parents are
audience.
thinking ahead with that one.
Yeah, for the audience, Chris, for those that don't know you, tell everybody a little bit about what you do as far as your film career.
Well, I own Real Life Entertainment, which is a film company. We cover all genres. We just got done filming a movie called Molly Nettle, and that is going to be a very special film to not only myself but the cast and the crew that helped make it possible. We are going to be having a premiere. I'm not sure when yet, probably later on this year for it. That is going to actually benefit the American Cancer Society.
Oh, good.
So we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
always awesome whenever you are able to give back to the community with your talents like that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so how long have you been doing film?
I've been acting. Well, I was actually acting for about 8 years, and my wife and I got married, and we got married March 3rd of 2017, and we were on our honeymoon, and we went on a cruise, and we're sitting on the cruise ship, and we're actually on the balcony on the deck, and we start talking about film and stuff like that. And I told her, I said, one of my dreams has always been to be a filmmaker. So she says, "Well, what are you waiting on? Why don't you do it?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Are you serious right now?" She said, "Yeah, go for it." So I said, "Okay." So we got back, and I did. You know, I really kind of got my head where it needed to be, and I've been doing this since probably April 2017. So I'm fairly still a little new at it. I'm still learning stuff every single day. Every production I do, every film set I'm on, I'm constantly learning about not only myself but how to be a better filmmaker.
Okay, now I've seen a couple of your films myself on YouTube. Where can people go to see some of your work?
Actually, you can go to youtube.com. I think it's going to be / Real Life Entertainment. There's also another Real Life Entertainment on there. I didn't know that, but Real Life is REELLIFE Entertainment.
Okay,
And then Facebook, Real Life Entertainment, spelled the same way, REELLIFE Entertainment.
so and I can tell you guys like his work is very good. It's like I get a like I can't remember the name of it, and I don't want to give too much away, but it was a married couple in it. You know the one I'm talking about, Chris.
The Getaway.
Yeah, so that one, like, man, as I was watching it, that was actually the first of your films that I actually watched, and it tore me up by the end of it. Like it was such an emotional roller coaster through it, and it was like I kind of about halfway through kind of knew what was coming, but you did that in such a good way where it's like even though I knew it was coming, it did not dampen the emotional effect whenever it finally did
Oh,
happen.
you're talking about Love Hurts, not The Getaway.
Oh, Love
Yeah,
Heart, yeah.
that's Love Hurts. Yes, that film. was actually inspired by a couple that I know, and
Oh, that's kind of
whenever
scary.
that couple, yeah, and what's funny is that when that couple saw it, they looked at me and they're like, "We inspired this." I'm like, yeah, and they're like, "Oh, well, I'm glad that it didn't actually happen." I'm like, well,
Yeah. So guys, I would definitely recommend seeing that one because it's pretty phenomenal. So, um,
thank you.
well, Ben,
Yo,
what have you been up to this week?
well, first of all, I got a haircut, so
Oh yeah,
that always feels nice.
I need one of
Uh,
those.
Other than the usual, I mean, I've actually done painting. You saw that when you came over earlier today, so I'll probably do some more of that later. I've been playing more Monster Hunter World. Um,
Such a good game.
it's really fun. We still need to play that, get you caught up and out of low rank,
We need to stream
and
that.
then we do. Probably should do that.
Hey, you guys might want to keep an eye out for that. That may just
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. Announcements may be coming out. Just never know. Other things is I've started playing Prey, which is basically another successor to System Shock 2.
Right.
But do you know much about it?
I do not know a ton about Prey. I know a little.
Okay, so the main thing that got me into it was when the E3 announcement came for like some of the stuff that was coming for it. One of the things was a multiplayer that's a lot like the prop hunt mode in Gary's mod,
Right.
where you have one person, I think, who's the hunter, and the other players are all playing as mimics who mimic things that are just random pieces of junk in the map, like coffee cups and whatever else. And it's one versus the mimics.
Okay.
And basically it's like violent hide and seek, and that just seems fun to play.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, Prey itself is it's System Shock 2.
Well, do you guys remember the old? I played it on Genesis, but the old Barney's hide and seek that was out on Genesis. Like,
No, I can't say I have.
I want to see
No.
someone mod the emulator for that, and that's what it is. It's
Oh,
like
jeez.
like hide and seek where Barney's looking for the kids and like
That sounds like a Dead by Daylight mod where the killer
Yeah.
is Barney the dinosaur.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking more like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. I'm not gonna say Jurassic World because I'm really upset with Jurassic World. We'll get to that later.
Well, yeah. Before you get into that, the other thing too is to finally calm down many people who tell me I need to watch this, you included. I've also seen the first episode of Westworld.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. That what?
Yeah,
Did,
I'm finally seeing what all the
Ooh.
fuss is about.
oh yeah, and man, like it just gets better. Like that show will completely, mind redacted you so hard. Okay, like
Yeah.
it will mess with you. It's such a good show. Chris, have you seen Westworld?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, I'm not alone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
It's-
club I just recently left.
It's so good, and I mean, honestly, I don't think we've talked about this much with the audience, but like, I'm a huge fan of the show Lost, and
Yeah.
Lost has one of the best series premieres ever, and Westworld actually, like, that episode contends Lost as far as the best series premiere because that premiere was, man, like at the end, minor spoilers for the beginning of for the end of the first episode, but when she kills the fly at the end. Like
Yeah.
right then, it
That-
is on.
That was for me. That was the things I do for love from Game of Thrones. Like
Right.
that was the equivalent.
And it's just such a big moment.
Mhm.
So, Chris, what have you been up to this week?
Oh man, just actually just working on a script. I've got something in the work for next year that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy. Also, my wife and I are going to out of town, not next week, but the week after that. So just trying to get all that stuff prepared for that.
Oh, that's always fun.
Oh man, yeah, it's just trying to juggle 4 different things at one time is difficult sometimes.
So
Yeah.
the life of a filmmaker, juggling all the different things.
You don't
So-
you have not a clue, sir. You
I'm
have
sure I
not a
don't.
clue how difficult it is.
So, as far as the project you're working on right now, is there any kind of teasers you can throw us or throw at our audience for it?
No, not really, honestly,
Oh.
because yeah,
Hey,
I may be able to call you later and tell you, and
right.
then you can relay it to Ben, but
Uh-oh.
you know,
He It's just the general public can't know. We'd have to be under
No.
non-disclosure.
We're not at that point yet where we can send it off to marketing for them to hype it up.
Right.
I'll put it to you like this: what I'm working on, the world is not prepared for yet.
Ooh, that's big,
Big
words,
words.
guys. So
Yeah.
you guys want to make sure that you keep up with Chris and what he's got going on, because I do know a little bit about the project, so I'm looking forward to it. So as far as what I've been doing, man, the Steam sale has been going on this week, and I'm not going to talk about everything I've played off the Steam sale because I'm not going to lie, like my wallet is hurting from the Steam sale, but there's one game in particular that I actually beat in one sitting this week.
Oh yeah, I know this one.
Absolutely, like, blew my mind, and that was Layers of Fear. Now the game's a little bit older. I think it came out in 2016 maybe, but it's kind of a walking simulator horror game, and I kind of like walking simulators as it is, but I'm not a big fan of horror games. I'm just
Yeah, 2016.
I don't play horror games just to play them. I've streamed Outcast before.
Outlast.
Outlast, yeah. There we go. That one. But, I just don't sit in my room and go, hey, I'm going to play a horror game. But Layers of Fear, like, I picked it up and I just couldn't stop. And I want to tell you, like, this episode is going to come out on July 1st. For those that hear this episode before July 5th when the Steam sale ends, you do yourself a favor and go buy Layers of Fear.
How much did you pay for it?
I don't even know. It was not much. It was not over 10.
Shoot, I can pull up Steam and look at the price right now.
And it does kind of suffer from, by the end of it, you're not really going to be suffering too much fright from the jump scares anymore. But it's
like $5.
Yeah, $5. And it will entertain you for at least 5 hours. That's $1 an hour. You don't get that good of a deal at the movie theaters.
Nope.
But it blew my mind how good that game was, and how fun it was to play, regardless of the fact that I'm like sitting over here terrified. So
it's kind of interesting that you were able to get so many purchases out of the Steam summer sale, whereas like this time around, I really didn't pick up that much. Like, to me, with the stuff that I was looking for, the discounts just to me on stuff wasn't as deep as I would have liked it to be. So I ended up maybe only getting 1 or 2 cheap things.
Right. I think a lot of it came from the fact that I've been looking at a lot of $10 to $15 games over the last year already, and like just being like, I'm gonna wait for the sale. And then
and I'm looking at stuff that I actually like is on my wish list from like, I think like the top of it right now is XCOM 2.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. Which I will announce that it's not really much of an announcement, but I am preparing you particular that a playthrough of that from me is coming, and you may be leading the squad to save Earth, Ronnie.
Oh no, that means I'm gonna die. Like, I'm prepared to die.
Are you prepared to die for Earth?
So guys, that's what we're up to this week, and our topic that we kind of wanted to get on this week was because we've got Chris. We want to talk a little bit about movies, which is something we really haven't talked a ton about since we started the show. It's such a huge part of pop culture. So this week, I'm going to kind of start us out talking a little bit about Jurassic World 2, because that's kind of the new thing right now.
It's a big release.
Yeah, and so, guys, I know neither Ben nor Chris have seen Jurassic World 2, but it is getting a lot of hype right now. A lot of people are talking about how good it is. Now, Rotten Tomatoes has it about 50%, which I don't pay attention to Rotten Tomatoes as it is.
No.
Nobody really should anymore.
Exactly.
No, not at all.
But I'm going to tell you guys, like, literally when the credits started in that movie, I sit there in silence. And not the good kind of silence. I was just sitting there like, this was not a Jurassic Park movie. This was something completely different. Like, the movie starts out as a disaster movie and then like warps into this weird sci-fi monster movie at the end of it. And there's never like a point where I'm looking at it and going, this is a dinosaur movie. This is a, survival movie like the original Jurassic Park series.
And who better to show you how to survive than the dinosaurs?
Right, right. But it just like, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna give my spill on this, and then we're gonna
Yeah, go
move
for
on
it.
from it because, like, there's not much discussion we can have because these guys haven't seen it. But
Well, I will say that I will bring up what I think is what you've told me, which is the stupidest thing. But you can go ahead.
So this is my hot take for the week. I get that a lot of you enjoyed this movie. There's gonna be some of you that are listening that didn't. But here's the thing: when you watch Jurassic Park, the original, what is killing everybody is a real dinosaur. So when we have a movie that tries to dress itself up as a Jurassic Park movie and then introduces us to a scientifically engineered new creature that is supposed to be the big villain dinosaur of it, it loses some of its effect because this is no longer based on a real dinosaur, which is what made Jurassic Park so amazing. Was this T-Rex, which is a creature we knew existed in the world at one point, that is going around cleaning. I do not care that it had all these special abilities, which they turned it. They essentially make it where it can, like, I mean, it's a super mutant kind of thing where, oh, it has enhanced senses and it follows this laser to kill anything and all these things like that. It just, like, that's not a dinosaur. That is not a dinosaur. That is a new creature. I do not care that it's based on dinosaur DNA. And then on top of that, what is up with the T-Rex being a hero in these movies now? He did it in Jurassic World. He did it in Jurassic World 2, where it's like he all of a sudden jumps in and saves the heroes in a moment where there's another dinosaur attacking them. That makes no sense. The T-Rex is supposed to be like an animal. It's a force of nature. And all of a sudden, they're using it as the heroic force, which is really only just to get the T-Rex in the movie. Okay, you want to get the T-Rex in the movie, well, have him be the one that's chasing them for a little bit. He doesn't have to be the main dinosaur, but he can still try to attack the heroes. It's like we got to avoid the T-Rex because he's bad. But no, and don't even get me started on the end. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to spoil those that haven't seen it. But the end,
very generous of you.
The end makes no sense at all. It was contrived and it made zero sense. The redeeming.
You know what else doesn't make sense?
What's that?
All these shark movies that are coming out.
Oh, don't even get me started on the Meg. I saw that trailer and I was just like, so we're trying to be Jaws, but we're not going to call ourselves Jaws.
Yeah, well, because that's probably the limit where Hollywood was like, can we get away with calling ourselves? No. Like, that may be the threshold where it's like they're not quite bold enough yet to call themselves Jaws 2018 or 2019 or whatever.
Well, you know what I really think of, Chris, whenever I saw the name The Meg?
Family Guy?
I was thinking of Meg from Family Guy. I was
yeah.
And it would be better. I would love to see, like, Meg, in the scene where, like, it jumps out of the water. Like, I want to see that be Meg from Family Guy just jumping out.
Do they take this scene from the sci-fi classic Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus, where the shark jumps out of the air and bites an airplane?
They did not have anything that crazy.
I mean, they may as well, because it's not much else that'll get me to go see it.
But here's the thing about the Meg. It at least got something better than Jurassic World 2, because the Megalodon is a creature that actually existed.
Yes, it is.
And that makes it a much more compelling villain. So, than the Indoraptor, whatever BS.
The lamest mutation raptor ever.
Yeah. So that's my spill on Jurassic World. Hey, and you know what, guys? Anybody that's listening to this, if you disagree, you can go on Facebook, tell me how you disagree, and I will feature your argument on the show next week. So this is your opportunity to be heard. Tell me how wrong you think I am, and I'll let everybody else hear it. So,
yep.
Guys, you guys have anything to add to the Jurassic World thing?
I think Go ahead.
I was going to say they need to stop making them.
Well, there's at least one more coming, because it's a trilogy.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. I think, like, the funny thing, too, about when you look at the sort of first movies where the T-Rex is the main antagonist, and that was perfectly fine because that's what we knew of as, like, the carnivore of the primeval world.
Right.
But we now are at this point where so many other dinosaurs have been discovered that were so much bigger and badder and scarier than the T-Rex that it's
Exactly.
kind of weird that none of them are actually featured and we just go straight to the mutations.
Yeah. Oh, but now
Like,
now we've got a feature on the Raptors because Blue is our central dinosaur character.
yes, it is. And it's not a Smurf.
It's about as useful as a Smurf.
Oh. Oh.
I'm gonna get some hate for that one.
Is
Because
it an
people love
allegory
Blue.
for communism?
I don't think it's quite that. Maybe an allegory for terrorism. Wait, that movie. I
Okay.
think that movie does have some allegories for terrorism in it. So,
I don't know. Are the terrorists buying mutated dinosaurs that they have to like have laser pointers to direct?
actually, yes.
Okay, then, well,
So,
that would make the news a lot more interesting if more dinosaurs were involved.
right, right.
But anyway, I've really got nothing else to add for it just because I haven't seen the movie. Whether I'm able to get out to go see it is another matter entirely. And I don't know, like, meh.
Yeah, that's pretty much that meh is the encapsulation of everything I feel about this movie. Chris, I know you were talking about there were some hot takes you had. I think you specifically mentioned before the show that you wanted to talk a little bit about Get Out.
Yes. I know I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack from this, but I'm prepared. If anyone's seen The Skeleton Key,
Which I have
Get
not.
Out. Okay, well, Get Out, without giving any spoilers away, Get Out is some people say it's his way of, his own take on it. But when you basically rip off almost the entire plot, except for where one thing, it's not an original movie. It's a remake or a ripoff.
You know,
Um,
I think you bring up something
now,
there that's really important. Like, and I want to ask this question. I want to get your answer as a filmmaker for it.
okay.
But is that not just a problem in Hollywood in general, where originality is really dying, and it's now more we're gonna do spiritual successors to this, or we're gonna do direct sequels to this, or we're gonna use this as an adaptation from this. There doesn't seem to be many. Hey, this is an actual original idea anymore.
There's not, and that's the problem. Is that you and I talked about the other night? Is that the new It is a direct adaptation from the novel, which I absolutely love the way they did it. The problem that I have with it is that one scene in the garage, whenever Pennywise, you know,
Comes out of the projector.
yeah, when he does that, I mean, it just wasn't real. Like they just made his head too big.
Yeah.
I didn't know this until the other day when a friend of mine told me that new movie. I can't remember the name of it, where Anna Faris and the Mexican guy,
I'm not
he
sure.
has amnesia.
Yeah, I
You know
tend
what
to
I'm talking
ignore
about?
anything that has Anna Faris in it, so I'm just
It was
like,
a good
ah.
choice. But that actually is apparently a ripoff of, or I shouldn't say a ripoff. I'm sorry, a remake of a movie made in the '70s.
Yeah,
The
that doesn't
problem
surprise
that
me.
I have, the problem that I have with Hollywood now is that they try to dumb down the audience. They want to spoon feed the audience every single thing that they need to know instead of letting them think for themselves. The only film that did not do that, in my opinion, now strictly guys, this is just my opinion on this, is A Quiet Place. If
Mm.
you haven't seen it, you need to see it. It is absolutely 100% phenomenal.
That
There's
that
not.
that really is a great movie. One of the
I
things
have.
that one of the things that amazed me about it was like how it didn't feel weird that there was hardly any talking in it. Like they made it seem so
Exactly.
natural, and that's got to be
Absolutely.
difficult.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is that whenever, as a filmmaker, when you're writing a script, the way I write my script is kind of like a book. Whenever I'm reading the script, I have to make sure that I can envision what the audience is going to see. Because if you don't do that, it's a book.
Right.
You're not going to be
Hmm.
able to bring it to life. And with A Quiet Place, they just did a phenomenal job with that. The only thing that I've heard people talk about and they, you know, got upset about was the fact that there was a lot of silence. Well, the movie's called like The Quiet Place.
Yeah, it's kind of the point.
Right. It's not called we're going to talk, an hour and a half through the movie.
There just wasn't enough explosions in that rom-com.
Yeah, they should have had Michael Bay direct it. Come on.
Yeah. When I think of Quiet Place, director should have been Michael Bay right at the top.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which if you want my take on the movie industry right now, you should go watch the epic rap battles, which has Steven Spielberg versus Alfred Hitchcock, which ends up like having Quentin Tarantino and Stanley Kubrick brought into it. And at the end, Michael Bay comes out and is like basically talking about how it's about nothing but money. And really, that is what Hollywood is about nothing but money.
It's about making money in safe investments.
Exactly. But, I 100% believe that we need filmmakers, Chris, that are more about the creative side. And it's okay that there are big budget movies. Look at Marvel, okay? I have a lot of problems with the direction Marvel's gone. But it is amazing that they've turned it into a cash cow. And it's really cool to keep seeing these comic books be brought to life. But we still need those creative forces. We don't need it to just be about money.
Absolutely. And see, the thing is that, I'm going to give you guys a little insight with my films is that I usually do my films between $0 and $500. And the thing is that if you have people in Hollywood that would give the little man a chance to actually do something that could be phenomenal, that's where that's where Hollywood is lacking right now.
Right.
Is that they're stuck in their ways. There's another filmmaker here by the name of Chris Moore who just did a film called Triggered. Triggered is, I haven't seen it. I want to see it so bad. The main character in that movie, her name is Callie. The girl who played her also played Molly in Molly Nettle.
Meredith is amazing. If you guys look up Meredith Moeller, she's on Instagram. I follow her Instagram. She is absolutely, she's gorgeous, and she has a great Instagram account where she posts very regularly, and it's usually relevant to what project she's working on.
Absolutely. See, Meredith is just a phenomenal person. I love her to death. I love working with her. And her mom, Tracy, is just phenomenal as well. And Tracy and I were talking about that and talking about how, yesterday, as a matter of fact, talking about how people in Hollywood, or not really in Hollywood, but the local filmmakers here in Mississippi, we don't get the same budgets as other states do. The film incentive here is, there's no film incentive here, but that's a whole different topic for another day. But my thing is that if you have a good idea, if you have a laptop or a pen and a paper, write down your idea, make it come to life, and just do you. Honestly.
I mean, and that's the thing. And we can kind of talk about this. Me and Ben can kind of talk this on the podcast side of it. What we're doing right now, this podcast, this is actually a radical idea. And I'm not trying to plug the podcast, at all with that. I mean, if you're listening already, I don't need to plug it to you.
Yeah, it's kind of redundant.
But we have this radical idea of like getting away from just absolutely blowing hot air up the butt of anything in pop culture, just because we want everybody to think that we're so positive. We want to be real, and part of that was we wanted the podcast to be completely ad-libbed. And man, you do not know how much pressure I've got since I've started this show. Why are you doing it ad-lib? You need to have a script. You need to have show notes. You need to have all these things. It's like, no, that's not our identity. We're trying to do something creatively different. And that just blows people's mind, Chris, whenever you're that way. And we started with nothing. Like, we don't have special equipment. We don't have, literally, I've invested like $30 into this podcast. And that is to tell you as the audience, like, if you want to do a movie, get your daggum iPhone out. Okay, you can do an iPhone movie. Don't
film vertical though.
Yeah, don't do that. If you want to do a podcast, get your headset out and start doing a podcast. There are resources out there where you don't have to spend money because the world needs those creative forces. You know, it's podcasting has the same problem, Chris, where like every podcast has become the same thing and the same repeated ideas. Everybody wants to be Serial now. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, you know, I tried to listen to Serial, and nothing against anybody who likes it, but I could tell the dude was reading from a script like that he probably had never even looked at before.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's about there's a specific crime that they're covering through each season, and whoever did the research about it is not the person, or at least it seems like is not the person who's actually the voice of the podcast, and it just that scripted feel really hurts, which I know that's different for movies, but everybody wants to be Serial now, and you need creative forces that are going to say, you know what, I'm not going to be that. I'm going to be
Yeah.
something completely different. And that's what I really like about your films, Chris, is the fact that you do what you find creatively interesting, and that communicates no matter the quality. Yeah, you don't record at a Hollywood film quality. That's okay, because what you record brings across that creative effort that you are trying to put out there, and it's noticeable.
Well, I appreciate the words, Ron. I really do. And that's the thing is that you made the comment about, if you want to make a film, go out there and take your phone and do it. If you go on Amazon or if you go on Google and you type in, I can't remember the name of the brand now, but they actually make lenses that are, you know, wide shot lenses that you can use to make a movie on your phone. Here's a little fun fact: Have you guys heard of that movie Unsane?
I've heard of it. I don't know much about it.
That entire film was shot on an iPhone,
Yeah, I mean,
There you go.
and that movie got a theatrical release. It shouldn't have ever been made. It was terrible. But the thing is that you are the only person who's going to stop you from doing something.
right.
That's all there is to it. Um, I'll get a little personal right now. I don't mind. I lost my mom in 2010. I lost my dad in 2015.
Hmm.
The way I live my life now with my films and doing stuff like this is I do that to make sure I'm making them happy and making them proud.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you have do something, you're not only doing a disservice to yourself, you're doing a disservice to other people who have invested their time or have invested money or whatever into you.
Right.
So that's my biggest problem is that there's some people out there, some filmmakers who just have to do it.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna have to do it, don't do it.
Yeah. And I think Arnold Schwarzenegger put it best in his 6 tips to success is work like hell.
Yeah.
That's part of being successful. I mean, there's a lot of other things. Break the rules. That's another one of Schwarzenegger's. But I mean, at the core of it is if you're not willing to put the work in and do things to make your project good, it's not going to be good. And that's just how it is. I spend about 20 hours working with stuff on this podcast every week that you guys don't see. As far as getting the word out to other people, making sure that the hosting is up on all the different sites that we host on, from iTunes to Stitcher to TuneIn, all these things that most of you will never see, but that's because we're trying to give a product to you that is as good as we can make it and is available. And that's, again, Chris, I want to keep bringing this back to the movies. That's how you become successful. You look at somebody like Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino. All these guys started out with nothing. These weren't people that had an in Hollywood, and they made really low budget movies, but they made the best daggum low budget movies possible with what they had. And look at them now.
There's actually a film. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Hitchcock, and it's a biography about Alfred Hitchcock. And I was absolutely blown away by finding out some of the stuff about him. And that's the thing is that you have so many filmmakers and this, that, and the other that are out there that are undiscovered. And for anyone listening or watching this podcast, you may be the one that I'm talking about that's undiscovered.
Right. And I'm going to go, this kind of goes into novels, but I want to go to a Stephen King quote. Or not really a Stephen King quote, but talk a little bit about Stephen King. You know, Stephen King, he sent Carrie into, I mean, hundreds. I think it may have got into over 1,000 different uh, publishers and places that he could submit that book before finally somebody took the risk and said, hey, yeah, we'll publish this book. And look at Stephen King now. He is a household name in America. Everybody knows who Stephen King is.
Yep.
So it's just like, don't give up either. Don't give up on your dream.
Absolutely. And that's just like, at Tupelo Con, Alexander S. Brown, he's a horror author, and Cynthia Bonner, she does special effects makeup. And it's just one of those things that if you would have asked them, 10 years ago, if they would be where they're at now, they wouldn't believe you.
Right.
And Alex is, I can't really get too much into it, but he is, he's getting ready to release another book.
That's exciting.
And yeah, and that's the thing is that, if you haven't read any of his stuff, I mean, that stuff will literally give you nightmares. It is scary as hell.
Yeah. Oh, I've actually I've read one of Alexander's books, and the dude is so descriptive sometimes that it's just like I kind of worry for Alex's sanity. But guys, I want to kind of I want to steer us back to movies a little bit. I like this, kind of being the feel good podcast.
Yeah, really living up to our slogan, aren't we?
Hey, well, I got.
You come for the cynicism, leave with the inspirational messages.
Right. We got the disgruntled out whenever I went off about Jurassic World.
Yeah,
too,
whenever you were beating up dinosaurs.
Yeah, because that's what I love to do. I like to take baseball bats and just like bash in the dead carcass of a dinosaur, which is really just oil.
I mean, stores have taught us that candy comes out of dinosaurs when you beat them up because of the pinatas. Seriously,
that's what I do. Is I just buy barrels of oil and just beat it with a baseball bat. I'm beating dinosaurs.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really bad. Okay, we're gonna edit that out. That's not gonna be in the show.
No, don't do that.
So guys, there's multiple trailers that have been released because this is the summer season. Of course, they're gonna release a lot of trailers during this time. Have you guys seen the Ant-Man trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I've seen trailers for it. I don't know if it's the one you're talking about, though.
Have you seen it, Chris?
Yeah, are you talking about the one where they said it's the funniest Marvel movie ever made?
I don't know if they said it or not, because I'm not going to lie. About halfway through the trailer, I stopped paying attention. Because there's a point in, like, I don't know if it's the same trailer. There's a point where there's an ant at a drum set. And the ant is playing drums. What in the world is that? Can somebody answer that for me? Like, can either one of you explain how that makes any sense in this movie?
You know what's scary about that entire bit?
What's that?
Is that this bit made it from conception to production to editing to finalizing to in the trailer. And nobody along the way said, no, this is a stupid idea.
Right. It's
how many hundreds of people could have been a hero and stopped us from seeing this?
Right.
And they're all cowards, all of them.
Like, Chris, from a film perspective, like, is there any reason why you would absolutely undercut the rules of your movie in order to create a comedic scene like that just for the hell of, comedy?
No. I think the problem that I have with Marvel is, once again, going back to Hollywood dumbing down their audience.
Yeah.
Marvel is they're riding the coattail of Deadpool. They're riding the coattail of, Infinity War. They're riding the coattail of so many different movies. They should have stopped. Okay, whoever is doing Ant-Man and the Wasp, I bet they're the same people who are like, hey, let's make Green Lantern. I think that'd be a good movie.
Well, the Ant-Man, I think, is probably the most egregious Marvel movie. And I know a lot of people love it, but it's just like, here's the thing that gets me too about it, okay, right? They have the building, the skyscraper that they carry with them. They shrink it down into like a little, suitcase, and you see the guy in the car holding it and stuff like that. And it's like, everybody complained in the first movie that like, hey, based on your rules, the tank that was used as a keychain would have been the same weight as the tank because it just changes the density. It doesn't change how much mass is there. Okay? And everybody's been complaining about that since that movie came out. And they're just like, oh, you think that was crazy? We're going to one-up it and have a skyscraper.
But you won't pay attention because it's the funniest Marvel movie yet, which I don't really have a hot take on that per se, but more just like general advice that will never be heard by the people who need to hear it. Advertising how funny your movie is becoming more and more of a turnoff that I'm not going to go see it. Like, because Solo is advertised as the funniest Star Wars movie yet, and it's like that's not what I want.
Yeah, Star Wars isn't supposed to be
none of
funny.
what I want. No, like, and the thing is too is like the one way to assure me that you're not funny is for you to tell me directly that you're funny.
And I think that actually goes into what Chris has been saying about the dumbing down of the audience. It's like no matter what the genre of a blockbuster movie is nowadays, it has to be a comedy on top of that because otherwise people aren't going to sit in the theaters long enough to pay attention to the drama in it. So we got to make it funny too.
Well, that's just like that new movie Hereditary. It's the scariest movie.
Oh, all horror movies that come out of Hollywood
Lord,
are the scariest ever. Like you get around to Halloween time and all of a sudden the scariest movies just come out. Oh wait, but here's the scariest one coming out this next week.
Speaking of Halloween, have you guys seen the trailer for the new Halloween coming out?
Nope.
I have seen bits and pieces. I haven't seen the full trailer. But
I will tell you this. But I first heard about them redoing or not redoing it, or putting another one out. I told Beth, my wife, I said, we're not watching it. So then the other night we were watching TV and she pulled up the trailer and she said, here, watch it. So I watched it. I can't wait for it to come out. We will be the first people in line to see the movie. It looks absolutely phenomenal. It literally looks like, have you guys seen Rob Zombie's version of Halloween?
I have. Oh, love it.
Okay. It looks like they paid attention to that. Whenever later on this evening or tomorrow, Ronnie, you have to watch the trailer. I will send you a link. It looks so good. It looks like it will probably be the scariest Halloween they've ever done.
Which that is awesome because I'm a huge Halloween fan. I enjoyed the original. I even enjoy the bad Halloweens. I'm not gonna lie. I just think that's one of the best slasher series that has ever existed. It's definitely the best out of like the '80s slashers. I'm not a big fan of Friday the 13th or
Krueger.
Yeah, Krueger.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
There we go. So, but
probably gonna have people disagree with you on that one.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there will. But again, I think the '80s slashers things just come down to taste. Like, I find Michael Myers so scary because of the fact that he's more realistic than any of the other ones. He just, there are literal people that just lose their mind and start killing people.
I mean, when your competition is undying behemoth from a camp that has mommy issues to somebody who attacks you in your dreams,
right.
You kind of win the realistic medal by default.
Right. And that's where I get scared more is by like realistic horror. So
yeah,
and that's taste. I enjoyed the first Nightmare on Elm Street. Don't get me wrong. I think that was a phenomenal movie.
Sure.
But I say that it's funny because I talk about being more scared by I enjoy realistic horror better. But my favorite horror movie is the new It. And before that was the original It. So it's like, but I'm just an It fanboy, so I'm not too big to admit it.
Yep.
So what other movies that are coming out are you guys looking forward to? Ben, I know you don't watch a ton of movies.
I really don't.
As far as in theaters, you don't. But
no.
Have you seen any that have really piqued your interest at all?
No, because I mean, with the way that Marvel and Star Wars and a lot of other things have gone, like Hollywood has sure gone out of their way to kill my interest in movies altogether. It's just all bland and not really nothing worth paying attention to.
Right. Yeah.
And I certainly will pay attention to it less by going into a theater, overpaying for one, and then being stuck in a room with people who can't shut up or look away from their phones. And it's like, that's not a good viewing experience. So,
right.
I'm going to do a shameless plug to Movie Pass. Have you guys ever heard of Movie Pass?
Yeah, I got a few friends who have it.
We have it. We love it. The only thing that we don't like about it now is that you cannot see the same movie twice.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they recently changed that,
Sometimes,
and it's been a very negative response to
yeah.
that.
But there's a the new Purge is coming out next week.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
No, that they need to stop that too.
Yeah, that's another one where it's like this concept, it was flawed to begin with, but now you're going on too far with it.
Yeah,
Right.
it has the sequel syndrome.
It does.
Where like the original Purge was a really interesting concept, and
Mhm.
it was actually a pretty original movie, and I really enjoyed it. But then like the second one came along, it's like, yeah, we're just gonna copy the exact same formula.
It's kind of a shame though that concept was never really fully fleshed out apart from the murder is legal.
Right.
Like I think they would have gotten farther with it if they just said for this one night murder is legal rather than all crime is legal. Because with all crime being legal, why do you not just turtle up and then just like hack everything and steal all the money or information you could want?
Right.
And then make your own WikiLeaks or sort of assert yourself that way into the scene. You know, why bother fighting bums when you can just make millions?
And that's the thing is the new Purge movie is actually going to address a lot of why the Purge looks like it does.
Sure.
Because it's going to be the first Purge.
Yeah,
And that's actually kind of an interesting concept that we've got from the trailer is the fact that like people actually don't start killing each other at the beginning of the Purge. Like through the trailer we already know that the government actually sends people in to start killing people so that everybody will start doing murder. But yeah, like it basically like the way it looks is like all the teenagers are out partying and doing drugs, and like everybody else is like just
Woo,
stealing stuff, you know. But there's nobody really actively looking to kill anybody. So the government kind of puts murder into it by sending people in to kill people.
Government just killing people for one night. I'm sure that's not an allegory to anything. Which is another problem I have with a lot of Hollywood movies is like it's not so much the movie itself, but the message they try to send with it.
Right.
And it's just like I'm not buying it. I'm sorry.
Well, it's keep
I
politics out
watch
of my
movies to
entertainment.
get away from real life. Thank you.
Right. Which let me ask you, Chris, again. I just the filmmaker perspective on it. Like, you know, what how do you feel when politics get introduced into a movie? I know that you need that some, but like now that it's like with the Purge, this is a horror movie that has a political message behind it. I mean, where do we draw the line on those political messages?
I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell everybody watching and listening, the same thing I've told millions, or not millions, but hundreds of people before. The film industry is the entertainment industry. People watch movies to get away from that crap.
Yeah.
Don't put that crap in a film.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to, you know, if you think about it, guys, they've been doing this for, gosh, decades and decades and decades now about putting politics in the film. But my thing is that if it's a comedy, okay. If it's a drama, okay. If it's a horror film, not okay. Because there are some people that are, honestly, and I hate to say it like this, but they're out of their mind. And who's to say that this won't trigger something, you know, that could actually happen?
Right.
You know, I mean,
Very true.
I don't like politics personally. I can't stand politics. A friend of mine, he wanted me to write a horror film about, you know, about politics, and I told him no because I don't have a stance on either or platform. To be honest with you.
Right.
But I think that sports, same thing. I mean, I think that politics need to kind of stay in their own lane or
Yeah,
their
just
own
keep them out of movies.
area.
You know, and you know, it's one of those things where it's like I think there is a place for it within the film industry. I always point at a very famous, well, not very famous, but Spike Lee's famous, the guy who created it, very famous.
Yeah.
But I look at a movie that Spike Lee made, a movie called CSA, which is literally an alternative future of if the Confederate States had won the Civil War, and it had a very loud political message about lingering racism in the United States, even though it's about the Confederate States as if they had won. And it really delivered it really well. And I really like the quote that Spike Lee put at the beginning of it, that it's, if you're going to tell people the truth, you sure as hell better make them laugh while you tell them. And and that was,
Yeah.
I think that's the proper place. Is like when you say at the very beginning, is like, this is a political natured movie, and I'm going to be putting a message across. That's how you do politics in a movie, right?
Yeah, George Carlin basically made a career out of that quote.
Right.
That's just like the movie with Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis. Was it the Candidate? Is that what's called?
You talking about the one about?
Where he's running for, I think he's running for like a senator position or something. Or
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the movie's name. I don't watch a lot of comedies.
It's so funny, and that's a political movie,
right?
But I think that, like, the whole thing with, I don't want to get on the soapbox, but the whole thing about Robert De Niro saying that at the Tony Awards, I think that what's happening is, yes, we have freedom of speech, but don't use an award show, and this goes for anybody, don't use an award show to voice your opinion on that.
Right.
Because people pay to see a movie for entertainment value.
Right.
They pay to see a play for entertainment value. I personally don't. I personally don't think that it belongs in.
They have a really hard time remembering the fact that your political opponents also watch movies too.
Right. Yeah. And here's the thing with it is, at the end of the day, I don't care, conservative, liberal, moderate, totalitarian, libertarian, whatever your stance is at the end of the day, even though we idolize these movie stars, these movie directors, anybody in the movie industry, they're entertainers at the end of the day. Like, I really don't care about an entertainer's political opinion. I don't care about most political commentators' political opinion, much less an entertainer. And that's, I just don't care. And I'm also one that's like, I'm not bothered by it either. Like when I
So
hear
you mean you'll tell me that your vote isn't swayed by the threat of somebody moving to Canada?
Nope, not at all.
What a shocker.
But I mean, it's literally like, I'm the kind that when a celebrity mentions something on politics, again, I'm saying this because I want to be sensitive to both sides on this. It does not matter what side it is that they mention it. I just ignore it. Like, I don't care. Good for you. Good for you that you support whoever the president is at the moment. Good for you. You don't support whoever the president is at the moment. Guess what? I don't care. What I care about is your acting ability. It's like, you know what, De Niro? You haven't acted in a good movie in like 10 years.
Damn,
so,
that's fired.
I mean, I don't care. And again, anybody listening to this, I'm not downing his political stats. I'm just saying he hasn't been anything relevant to me in forever. I don't care. Get in a good movie, and then I'll care about you again.
Yeah, it's not hard. Just getting a good movie. Oh,
right. I mean, which I love De Niro. I love De Niro's acting, but he just hasn't done anything good in forever.
ouch.
Well, I mean, it happens. Leonardo DiCaprio had a huge gap between good movies. I mean, John Travolta did. Samuel L. Jackson did. A lot of the best actors out there will go through downtimes. Will Smith's another good example. Oh my gosh, I don't want to talk about Willow Smith.
No,
oh God, the rage is coming. Oh gosh,
don't do it.
Deep breaths.
I absolutely love Will Smith. But my favorite film he's ever done is 7 Pounds. Have you guys seen it?
I have not actually.
I was so hoping you were going to say that one where he was in it with the kid.
Yeah.
Okay. I was so hoping just to hear
Triggered. I need to save space.
Lose his mind. Anyway, what were you saying?
Oh no, 7 Pounds was. I mean, it was one of those movies that you get so wrapped up in and watching it that it's like you almost forget it's a movie.
Oh, those are the best.
It is so. I mean, I don't really cry during movies, but the end of that movie got me, and I was just like, "Holy crap!"
I'm gonna have to look that up then.
It is so good.
I mean,
Good
because
movie.
I'm a Will Smith fanboy. Independence Day, that was like as a kid, like my mind, like watching that movie, I was just like,
Independence Day is responsible for the man you are today.
yeah, exactly, like, and it was so great. And I'm not gonna lie, I liked Independence Day too, and I wish Will would have been in it. That's another hot take, but I'm
Yeah,
a
well, I
fanboy.
mean, everybody has like their guilty pleasure movie, so it's like,
Right.
you can say it's like, don't even care.
Yep, it's like I loved it, and I don't. It was Independence Day. I wanted more of it, and I got more of it.
It was
and
a
I loved
hot
it.
pile of garbage, but I just ate it all up.
Yes, it's just like whenever I go to a fast food restaurant, it's like it may taste terrible, but it fills the stomach.
Yeah.
That's right.
It does the job it's supposed to do.
Right. Um, well, on that, since we've kind of Will Smith is by and far my favorite actor in Hollywood.
Right.
Ben, favorite
Yeah.
actor or actresses?
Favorite actor, actress?
Yeah.
Mm,
I know it's a hard choice. Put you on the
Pass.
spot. Passing. Chris, who is your favorite actor or actress in Hollywood?
My favorite actor of all time has to be the late Robin Williams.
Oh,
That's a good pick.
dude. Okay, now we're changing the question because I gotta ask this question.
Okay.
What is your favorite Robin Williams movie?
Okay. I'm glad you asked that because I have two movies that he did that one a lot of people have never heard of,
Right.
and that's 1 Hour Photo.
Oh, love 1 Hour Photo.
I can't.
Have you not heard of that?
I've seen
No.
it.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a different role for him to portray that kind of character.
Mhm.
Now,
Right.
my other favorite movie he did is Patch Adams,
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
because it's one of those films that it literally just grabs you by your heartstrings and it doesn't let you go until the end.
Yes. If you have not seen Patch Adams, Ben, like that is like one of Robin Williams, like that is probably one of his better performances. It's at least in his top 2 best performances.
But it's
Oh,
all wasted on me because I have no heartstrings to grab.
Yeah. Well, you can at least appreciate how amazing he is in the movie.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is about Robin is that, whenever he was on screen, whenever he was on set, you could tell that he was giving it 100 million%.
Yeah.
Every single scene.
And that was everything that Williams did. Like if you look at his stand-up comedy, like he put so much energy into it. And a lot, you don't see that a ton out of a lot of comedians or actors nowadays. Like he just, man, that is one that the world will never replace is Robin Williams.
Yeah.
But my favorite Robin Williams movie is Bicentennial Man, which I'm also an Isaac Asimov fan, so that was just perfect. That was actually when Robin Williams passed. That night I watched Bicentennial Man. That was my tribute to that man because it just that movie just I love, like, it's the heartstrings thing, but it's also like the implications of it. And then Robin Williams he was such a perfect actor to kind of play that transition from robot to man. And it really worked out well for him.
I think his worst movie he ever did has to be Toys.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Even though I only watched as a kid, it did not keep my attention.
No, I mean, I watched it when I was a kid and I watched it when I was older, and it was just not him,
Yeah.
at all. It just wasn't him. It wasn't the kind of role that he should have played.
Right.
Now I'll tell you an actor that I used to love, and now I'm just like, just stop acting and retire, is Adam Sandler.
Oh Lord, yes. Which
Yeah.
it's I'll give him credit. He's found his niche because now he's doing all the Netflix stuff, and Netflix is known for like really bad B movies that are actually so bad they're good, and people love that. I love that in certain movies, and that's kind of what he's doing because his movies, his comedies are essentially like those really really bad B comedy movies that are self-aware. And I think he's, if that's working for him, that's working for him. But
Billy Madison is probably one of my all-time favorite movies, just
yeah,
because of the fact that it's one of those films that you can literally not sit there and not laugh.
yeah. Which I'm a big which Billy Madison. That was the which one was that? I always
That was the one about him having to go back to school to
yeah. Oh
reclaim the throne, basically.
yeah, yeah. That one that is my favorite Sandler movie as well.
Now, I want to go back real fast about Will Smith, and I'll tell you a little fun fact if you don't know this already. I'm
Okay.
sure you probably do. Do you remember the episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air
I
whenever he,
already know where you're going.
yeah, whenever he told Uncle Phil about his dad leaving and all that stuff?
Right.
Well, that actually was completely improv, and he actually channeled that from his actual father leaving him.
Right. Well, I hate to do this. I hate to break it to you, Chris. I've done the
Oh,
research
God.
myself on it, and that actually isn't
Oh,
true. His dad is actually very
Not
involved
true.
in his
You
acting
mean the
career.
internet lied to me?
Yes, the internet lied to you.
As shocking as it is.
I always hate this is the second person I've had to do that to on the show. And I
Oh.
always hate it. I hate telling somebody that kind of stuff.
Oh,
I'm still sorry, Malcolm, if you're listening. But yeah, it's one of those things. I've seen that myself, and I had to look it up because I was like, ah. But yeah, his dad was actually really supportive of him through his acting career.
well.
But the
no.
thing is, let's turn this around and look at the positive. Okay, Will Smith acted that scene so good that is believable,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's true.
and that is what's
Absolutely.
amazing about Will Smith is he can do that. So we're getting close to the end of our time, guys. We're approaching that hour, and I definitely want to respect our the time of our listeners. But Chris, I'm going to go ahead and let you kind of have the last word. Anything else you want to share with our audience about what you do, about movies in general? Just this is your time to whatever you want to do for a minute.
Well, really, honestly, just I'm very excited about what the future holds for myself in filmmaking. Uh, the one thing that I will tell you is, that I do want you with the film that we were talking about the other night. The script I was just working on, I actually want you both, you and Ben both, to be in a scene of that film.
Ooh,
Um,
cameo role.
yeah, I'll tell you. I'll have to tell you guys later what it is, but it's gonna be something very fun. Um, but the thing is that you know, like I said earlier, anybody who's watching or listening to this podcast right now, these two guys and myself are prime examples of just follow your dream, don't give up on yourself, and the only person who can stop you from achieving your goals is yourself.
Yep.
Right.
And if anybody doubts you, you don't need them in your life. I've had to learn that the hard way.
Hey, that's another one of Schwarzenegger's tips to success: is don't listen to the naysayers.
No, not at all. You can't, because the thing is
Yeah.
that if you listen to everybody who told you can't do something, then what could you do?
Right.
I had a 8th grade history teacher who first day of class, he told us one of his life lessons was, no matter what you do, just be the best that you can be. Even if you grow up and you end up a beach bum, just be the best beach bum you could be.
That is
I
those are
want to.
dreams though. Like that is goals. I want to be a beach bum.
Yeah. Just do it
Yeah.
and be the best that you can be at it.
Another thing is if you want to get some really good inspiration about, and it's kind of funny, but I've actually had to listen to this myself,
Mhm.
is go on YouTube and type in Mr. Feeney's last class and listen to his speech to Corey, Topanga, and Sean and Eric, and it will literally not only make you cry, but it'll also give you inspiration.
Right.
Maybe so.
Well, guys,
At least you recommended that instead of the Just Do It by Shia LaBeouf.
just do it.
Yeah, really.
Sorry. Okay. Chris, we've absolutely enjoyed having you this week.
Oh, guys, it was
Yeah, it's been great.
And we definitely appreciate the invitation. I think that's the first time that we've ever been invited to be at a movie on.
Yeah, usually they ask me to leave.
Right. But for everybody out there in listener world, hey, here's what we want you to do. we have put across a lot of opinions today. I want you to get on social media. I want you to tell us why you think that we're wrong. Okay. Not only that, but share stuff. That is how we're going to grow. And the more we grow, the better content we can provide, and the more content we can provide. We've already got some big plans. Ben's talked about it as far as more content coming in the future, but we need your support to make that happen. On top of that, we have a big announcement as far as having a Patreon launch coming in the near future.
Oh dear.
So that will give you another way to support us. And every bit of what we would get through the Patreon is going to go right back to creating content for you guys. So you definitely want to keep your eye out for all the projects that we've got coming up in the future to keep providing you guys with more content. But until then, guys, just keep it disgruntled. And remember, we're the most... Yeah, I like that. I want to keep that. It's going to be every week now. Keep it disgruntled.
Oh, boy. Buzzwords, ladies and gentlemen. Buzzwords.
But until then, we are the most honest, critical, and sometimes cynical podcast you will ever hear.
And inspirational.